I've had this piece of paper in a container in my basement since August 2018, a little over 6 years. It's a grocery receipt. It's for some cereal, some bananas, some orange juice, some water. And I've thought about this piece of paper many, many, many times over the past 6 years. This is not just any grocery receipt. It's the last grocery receipt that my mother ever received. This is the last time she ever went to a grocery store. July the 9th, 2018. A few days after this receipt was received by her, she called me on the phone. I live on the other side of the country. She called me talking about how bad her back was. She had a really painful back. She couldn't walk on her own. She had taken so many Tylenol 3s that she sounded drunk on the phone. The home care person that visited them every day, my parents, was there saying, you have to go to the hospital. You have to get checked out. She could barely walk. So she went to the hospital, got some x-rays done, some other tests. And not too long after that, the next day, I got a call from my aunt, my mom's sister, saying that she has cancer. Not only does she have cancer, it's metastasized throughout her entire body. And it's everywhere. The reason that she had a bad back that was so painful was because the cancer had eaten a hole through her spine. This was originally lung cancer. My mother, who never smoked a day in her life and never took a drink, had terminal lung cancer, which had metastasized through her entire body. Immediately got on a plane, me and my son. We flew back home and just to scope things out, see what the situation was. Left my wife and 2 daughters at home and planned on just going and checking at the situation, a quick trip, and eventually we would all travel back to see my mother. So after getting there, we had a conference call with an oncologist at another hospital, at the major hospital. And he broke the news to us that she had a month left, maybe. I think he used the word months, but I still have the voice recording. I recorded the session just so that I could remember what he said and doctor speak and all that. And I still have it on my phone. Haven't listened to it in a few years, but yeah. And my mother's reaction when the doctor and everybody in the room, some family was there, the nurse asked her, what does she think? What's her headspace like after hearing the news? And she just simply said, with her head down, I guess I don't have much life left. It's kind of a sad recording. Anyway, so I was kind of in a frantic sort, not frantic, but just many, many thoughts going through my head. I was just kind of visiting with her and spending some time with her and talking to family. And I had to go back. I flew back with the intention of collecting my wife and 2 daughters, and we would all fly back so that my daughters could see their grandmother for the last time. So I flew back after a couple of days with my mother, and she didn't last the week. The end of the week, she was gone. July the 30th, 2018. So when I and my wife and my daughters went back to my hometown, it was for a funeral. And that was that. So we spent some time there. We mourned. I remember the first time I saw her at the funeral home. And I got to say, if my daughters weren't there with me, my wife wasn't there, I probably would have ended up on the floor, because it was, although I've seen people before, I've never seen my mother like that. So it was surreal and shocking, and she just looked like she was sleeping. We buried her and spent a few days in my hometown and took care of some affairs and went back home. Before I left, my aunt presented me with my mom's handbag. They took it from the hospital and they thought I should have it. So I took it, put it in my luggage, and left. And after I got home and I just looked through it just to touch something that was hers and look at her things. I found this, and I realized this was the last time she had ever been, the final time she had ever been to a grocery store. It's such a mundane and normal thing that we do every day, and we don't think about it. And I've thought about it many, many times since then, and this is the first time since that time that I took this out. And I knew someday I would want to talk about it and express my thought about it. And I also wanted to share with the world what kind of incredible person she was. Obviously, she was a non-complainer because she was suffering from stage 4 lung cancer. And by the time she found out, I mean, she was two weeks later, she was dead. So there had to have been some uncomfortable nights. I mean, you don't get that far into that kind of disease and not feel pain. But she never complained on the phone. She was always chipper, always in a good mood. And that was just the way she was, a non-complainer. And one of the nicest people you ever want to meet. I don't think she was capable of saying a bad thing about somebody. She spent her last 5-ish years on earth taking care of my father, who was in a wheelchair and non-responsive. He was completely helpless. He had suffered a series of small strokes, and she did everything for him 24/7. Diapers, wheelchair, feeding, the whole thing. He was completely helpless. So that's how she spent the last 5 years of her life. And deserve has nothing to do with it. I think that everything is the way it is. It's random, but if I could use the word, she didn't deserve to spend the last few years of her life like that. But it's taken me 6 years to talk about her, and I want the world to know that she was a great, great person. And I'm so thankful that she was my mother. I have a wonderful wife today and a wonderful family because of her, because the only reason my wife saw something in me was because of the woman that raised me and made me who I am. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. I'm going to show a picture at some point during this video of her when she was a teenager. I don't have many pictures. It's a grainy old picture, but she's a teenager. And it was when I went back home for her funeral, it was the first time I saw it. And It was her with her whole life in front of her. And I'm going to show it because I want the world to see her. So anyway, back to the receipt. I think about it every day because it was the last time she ever went to the grocery store. And I guess the message I want to convey with this piece is you never know when you're going to be doing something for the last time. So you should appreciate everything in your life every day. And no matter how mundane it is, no matter how banal it is, you're lucky to be alive. You're lucky to be a conscious, thinking human being that can experience life. So whatever you do, whatever chores or worries that you have, I think you should be thankful that you have them and that you're alive, because you never know when you're going to be doing something for the last time. And that's all. That's all I really want to say. Whenever I get upset or angry or frustrated with day-to-day life, or I'm not getting what I want, or I'm not where I want to be, I think of one word. I think of receipt. I think of this. I think that you never know when you're going to be doing something for the last time, so appreciate it. Appreciate it. That's all. I don't know how to end this. Just, that's the story. Thank you.